Okay, here we go. Unit 2, Cycle 2, Solving Systems and Equations by Graphing. A skill that we would have finished with in grade 9. Let's see. So we have two different stores. iTunes and MusicMine are two online music providers. Each company charges a monthly membership fee and then a per song download rate. iTunes charges $10 per month and then $1 per song. MusicMine charges $7 per month and $1.50 per song. So even though we see the word per twice, we still recognize that we're looking at it in terms of 1 month, not a full year subscription. So that's our base fee, our initial value per month. And then we have a rate of change, a per song. How many songs per month have you downloaded? So we're going to write an equation where C represents the total cost for 1 month and N represents the number of songs purchased. So we have two different companies here. We got one, iTunes. So for iTunes, we see again what we've highlighted, that our initial value, which is also our y-intercept, is $10, and our rate of change, which is our slope, is $1 per song. So we're used to seeing, again, lines in y equals mx plus b, but it's told us certain things. C is the total cost, and we're going to have our slope, 1, and N is the number of songs, so $1 for each song we download, plus $10 for the subscription. For MusicMine, we're going to do the exact same thing. Again, it's $7 for the month, and then $1.50 for each song downloaded. Now we're going to graph those. We have a graph, we have a grid, but we haven't decided the actual scale. So along here, the x-axis, it's going to be the number of songs purchased. Okay? That's what our x value would be, n. So this is the number of songs purchased, downloaded, whatever. Starting at 0, I'm going to go every other box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up the y-axis, our y is the actual cost of the membership, so I might say cost. I need to start at 7 and 10, so I'm going to go every box is worth 1, but instead of writing every box, I'm just going to mark off every other one, so I have less writing to do. Now I can graph them. So we have an initial value of 10 and a rate of change of 1. So one song, it goes up 1 over 1. Now remember my scale, 1 is 2 boxes. So up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1, 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 up 1 over 1. I take my straight edge drawing tool and I draw my line going through all the points. Arrow on the end. I've color coordinated my lines, but I might label them. There's iTunes, and I wrote a 1 here instead of a 2. Let's change that. And then MusicMine will be 2. So let's see. Got to start at 7, our initial value. I need to go up 1.5 over 1. Again, looking at my scale. Up 1.5 over 1. 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 1.5 over 1, 1.5 over 1, up off the grid. Now I draw my line. Labeled my line, and I've graphed them. Now I can see that they actually intersect, they actually cross at that point, which is, if I were to drop down low to see, 6, 16. So that's our actual point of intersection. It actually crosses at 6, 16. What does that mean? What does that actually mean? Well, that is the point where to download the same number of songs, 16 or 6, it would cost the exact same no matter which provider you had, $16. So at this point, it costs the same amount. And now we're going to say how much that is. $16 to download the same number of songs. And how many songs is that? 6. So, to have some background music in class, which one should I pick? When should I pick iTones as my service provider, and when should I pick MusicMine? Now, because depending on who you are, we kind of like to save money. We're driven that way. It's always going to be the lowest cost. So at one song, MusicMine is cheaper than iTones. So the lowest line, when they cross, it's even, and there. So there's 3 stipulations, or 3 different parts. There's one, right at the point of intersection is 2, and then onwards is 3. 3 different ideas of when I should use. So, if I, as a teacher, plan to, I better use a better marker. If I plan to download or stream less than 6 songs a month, I should pick, again, the lowest line, MusicMine. I plan to download only or exactly 6 songs a month, then I could choose either plan. 1, 2, and then the third stipulation, if I plan to download more than 6 songs a month, I should choose iTones. And there's my 3 stipulations based on cheapest, when they're the same, and then the cheapest if I'm kind of going in bulk. Right? So solving a system of equations means by graphing, we graph them and see where do they actually cross. That point is on both lines. All right, let's add some words here, some terminology. A relation is an equation that relates two variables so that the ordered pairs, remember ordered pairs, x, y, a point, satisfies the equation to form a straight line. So all the x, y points form a straight line. A linear system is 2 or more relations that we're going to compare or that we are considered the same. They're talking about the same thing. To solve a linear system means to determine the number of times that the 2 lines cross, or really a good math word, intersect. We want to see where do they meet. The lines keep going, but where do they cross? Where do they intersect? Where do they meet? Okay, let's look at a few examples. Flip the page. We got two lines. Line 1, line 2. We look at line 1, we have a y-intercept of 4 and a slope of 2. Remember, that means up 2 over 1. So we draw this. There's 4, and it goes up 2 over 1, point, up 2 over 1, point, up 2 over 1, point. We add arrows to show that it goes on forever. The same still applies for our second line. We have a y-intercept of -1 and a slope of 1. So -1, a slope of 1 means up 1 to the right 1. Up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, and I should be using orange. Up 1 to the right 1 the entire way, going the opposite way, down 1 to the left 1, down 1 to the left 1. Take my straight edge drawing tool. And I can see my point of intersection. There it is. So the point of intersection is -5, -6. So if we look, how many solutions are there? There's only one point where they intersect. So there's one solution, or one answer. Look at another pair. Do the same thing. Equation 1, equation 2. We look at the y-intercept for each, and we look at the slope for each. So for equation 1, we go down to -4, and slope of 3 means up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. We draw our line. For equation 2, we do the exact same thing. We got y-intercept of 2. Slope of 3, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. Down 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3 to the left 1, 1, 2, 3 to the left 1, put a point, 1, 2, 3 to the left 1. When we draw that line, we look, and right now, before we know the math, we're trusting our eyes and we say, there's something weird, those don't cross. And it doesn't look like they're ever going to cross further off the graph to the top or further off the graph to the bottom. So where do the lines cross? They don't. How many solutions are there? There are no solutions. Right? There's 0 solutions. They don't actually cross. Now what do you notice about them? Well, they have the same slope. Last one, we'll do the exact same.